passionate, and follow your heart. As my 11th grade teacher, still a dear friend, and a mentor, told me as I graduated high school years ago, the world is your oyster, go conquer it. I put forth before you the same challenge. Go forth and conquer. The world is yours for the taking. Congratulations and thank you all.
Yeah!
Good morning, graduates, faculty, and loved ones. And thank you for joining us this morning. I understand this thing called graduation doesn't happen too often. So, how did I get here? No, really, how did I get here? It all started with a random email I got from Dr. Bergtorff. You know, initially I was alarmed because the only conversation I've had with the guy was about the doner kebab sandwiches I had catered for an event. He just doesn't stop raving about how popular they are in Germany. I mean, is that my understanding? Yeah. Which, now that I think of it, is probably the reason why I'm standing before you all today. So, here we are, from kebabs to commencement. I'm incredibly honored to be representing the undergraduate class of 2014. Give it up. Before I started my history degree, I wasn't exactly sure what to expect. If anything, the only thing I knew about history is what we were all taught in grade school, that history repeats itself, all historians are boring, you know, the same old stories told over and over again. All of that changed when I took my first history class here at Cal State Fullerton. It was 20th century Africa taught by Dr. Nyaga, may he rest in peace. I learned that history is not one-dimensional, that for every piece of history written by the quote-unquote victors, there is a whole side to the story that just isn't taught in your average high school history class. It all starts with the one class that opens up so many avenues in the semesters that follow. Next thing you know, a little sweet lady by the name of Dr. Gunther is assigning stacks of books taller than herself. And then you got Dr. Janssen, who, aside from being an expert in Californian history, also happens to be a stand-up comedy legend in Germany. Are we gonna hear any stand-up, Doc? No, you're just speaking? Well, it's German humor, I don't know the difference anyway. If you were to ask me, what was the most important thing you took away from your university experience, I would say, is finally getting some clarification to some of the misconceptions I used to have of history. One that I want to clarify right away is the popular notion that history repeats itself. I learned that really the only thing that is repeated is the phrase itself. History is rather one long story. Just like in nature, there are patterns in history that may make it seem like events are repeated, but when in fact, the time, place, and people involved are unique in their own right. As time goes on, places change, and people come and go. Just look around at where you're all standing today. But don't look up, there's a sweltering sun, I get it. In Fullerton, there were once the Gabrielino Indians, and then the Spanish conquistadors, and then the Germans, who by the looks of the department never left. Whether you like it or not, each and every one of us are a part of a human history. The historians are the ones crazy enough to record our day-to-day stories, immortalizing each word and subject. Which brings me to my second misconception, that all historians are the same. There are those who make it their life's work to preserve the classics, and there are those who actively question the same old stories. What I learned is that history is about allegiance and resistance. The faith you place in centuries-old works should not hinder you from engaging with those who want to update a narrative. However, without these two polarizing perspectives, there would be no dialogue, no motivation to learn more, which is the true essence of being a historian. There was once a Dr. Javed who taught me, a historian, you can be a revolutionary, activist, citizen of planet Earth, priest, pagan, anything you want to be, as long as you preserve your passion. Cal State Fullerton is far from perfect. You all experienced this from the parking. But despite its flaws, I'm forever grateful for what this institution has provided. I've made lifelong friends while learning lifelong lessons. I've learned that through cooperation rather than competition, we can continue to build bridges in the past, present, and future. To my fellow graduates, just because we're graduating today doesn't mean our work as historians ends here. No matter what line of work you pursue, always keep in mind there are stories that are yet to be told. Remember, the real stories are outside of these buildings. There are untold accounts within your community, in your family album, all around the world for that matter. We as historians have a moral obligation to capture these stories and bring back what we have to the very institution that gave us these sacred tools. Now, before I conclude the speech, I want to thank my amazing family for all their support. I'd like to thank Dr. Granada for her unyielding enthusiasm and her guidance, my inspiring colleagues who've turned into friends, and last but not least, the campus maintenance staff. For even they may not be present, we owe them a great deal for providing us adequate learning conditions day in, day out. Thank you, and congratulations 2014!
Well, thank you, Ms. Lopez and Mr. Ereren. These are just two examples of the kind of students we professors and faculty have the honor of teaching. And now, let me introduce Dr. Jasmine Rostam-Kalai, Associate Professor of History and Undergraduate Advisor, who will recognize our honor students.